What's going on, fish? Welcome back to your favorite pond, the Coy Pond, episode 74.
Hey.
84 subscribers. We're going to jump right into that today.
If we could just keep the subscribers ahead of the episode number, that's a goal.
I can live with
How
that.
about that?
We love that. Hey, appreciate number 84. Welcome to the Coy Pond. I hope you enjoy your swim. As always, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music.
Yes.
And don't forget to leave your question on SpeakPipe. We will answer anything and everything within reason. And of course, check out the merch store. We got some cool and delectable fashion wear. Very stylish. This spring is nothing but Coy Pond.
Yes, the spring line is incredibly impressive, isn't it?
Yes, indeed it is. And
very refreshing. And,
yes,
and,
it's
springy.
Yes, it'll get you ready for summer. You can get
That's
your
right.
summer wear, and there's tons of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, to be
Yeah.
honest. Alternate logos, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever you want. It's all there. Nevertheless, this week on the Coy Pond, we left off this past summer, or last spring, going over the 2012 NFL Draft. And I think we
Yes.
might have done the 10 and 11 before that. So naturally, we're picking up on the 2013 NFL Draft. First rounder only is all we're really going off. And then going to hit on some notable players at the end.
Some highlights.
Some highlights. Because, baby, it's draft season. We need to talk about something. There's nothing crazy really going on in the NFL.
15 days away.
Exactly.
15 days.
It's so close. We'll give out the Kevin's mock draft next week. Wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers signs on the Pat McAfee show tonight on their big night at tour in Pittsburgh, is my hypothesis. This will come out Thursday morning. I could be wrong. I'm just putting it out there now.
Interesting.
But not much NFL news going on. So we're going over the 2013 draft. Boom or bust. We might as well get into it. Early thoughts after going over this.
Wow, what a shitty draft.
What a terrible draft. There was little to nothing in this first round that had any substance for longevity.
Unlucky number 13, apparently.
Yeah, 2013,
Yes.
Y2K, apparently 13 years off. This was not a memorable draft in the slightest. A lot of linemen, defensive and offensive, and a lot of corners and safeties.
Yeah.
Of course, you get sprinkled in a few other spots here and there, but overall, not amazing. And, what better spot to start than the first overall pick?
That's right.
And we had Kansas City had the first overall pick this year.
Kansas City. That draft sound there.
Oh, yes. I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all knew. Eric Fisher.
Ooh.
Now, I would argue, in this draft, one of the better picks. Maybe not first overall,
Yeah.
but, a Super Bowl champ, two-time Pro Bowler. I really thought he was an absolute all-around hit. He stayed in the league for several years. He maybe not lived up to what we assume now as a first overall pick in an NFL draft, because I
Right.
would say within the last 12 years that's changed to more of a skill position,
Right.
typically. But, a good offensive lineman, you need him. And he stayed in the league.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many crazy stats. It's kind of hard to, how do you want to say it? Accumulate stats as an offensive lineman. It's better to have none if you really think about it,
Yeah.
because no one really got around you. But stayed in the league. I mean, he was a Central Michigan man. Hey, fire up chips. Not the worst pick.
No, and Luke Jackal from A&M, we'll get to him next, but he was actually regarded as a higher rated tackle than Eric Fisher was.
Gotcha. So it was a little bit of surprise.
A little bit of a surprise. So, this grading here that I'm using at the time of the draft had it a C+ grade,
Okay.
which is really not good for your first pick,
No, not overall.
overall pick. And 5 years later, it's a C-. So, that's a consistent grade.
It is.
It was just a stupid pick. So, interesting.
I guess he lived up to what he was supposed to be, but
Yeah.
at the same time, Kansas City probably could have done that differently, but he did stay in the league for as long as he did. So
Yeah, and you could argue, go on to say here, Fisher has been the worst number one overall selection this decade so far. So there you go.
oh well, okay.
Yeah,
That just speaks numbers to what the rest of this draft has to come.
it's also interesting that they traded for Alex Smith Yeah, I'm penalizing the Chiefs because they traded for Alex Smith too soon and ruined all leverage they could have had for a potential trade.
Oh.
So this had the Alex Smith thing involved with it too,
so this was
somehow.
when Alex Smith was going from what would have been the 49ers to the Chiefs?
Yeah, I believe so.
Instead of using any leverage, they completely destroyed them and got Eric Fisher first overall.
Woohoo!
Electric start. This would have been terrible to watch on TV. Second overall this year, Jacksonville. They took offensive lineman Luke Jackal.
Yeah.
Jokel. I don't have great notes for the poor guy.
Yeah.
He was ranked in his second season one of the worst offensive tackles, allowing 8 sacks by himself. He got hurt week 8 of his rookie season. He started almost all the games in 2015, and then 2016 he got hurt again. I kind of have him as a bust rating with how much he got hurt and being ranked one of the worst.
Complete bust. He's described as he absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
And another league official said it was completely foolish for the Jaguars to take Jackal here. Why? Because right tackle is not a valued position. Just look at all the available right tackles that were in free agency at the time. Eric Winston, Andre Smith, Tyson Clabo were just sitting there, and they had tons of cap room space. So it was a D grade even back then.
Oh.
I mean, so the Chiefs and the Jaguars have gotten picking first and second and have gotten a C+ and a D grade in the original draft, and it only got really worse.
Yeah, Jaguars.
Especially for the Jags.
Yeah, I doubt wherever Luke Jackal is these days he's listening to this, but sadly he was a bust.
Yes.
Picking third overall, 2013 selection, the Miami Dolphins select Deion Jordan, defensive end. And my fun little tidbits for him. He had 5 starts in the 7-year career. He was traded up. The Dolphins traded up with the Raiders to get him. He got suspended 6 games in his second season. Suspended the entire third season in 2015.
Holy shit.
Got reinstated in 2016, but he did not play. And then played 5 games between 2017 and 2020. And struggled to get not suspended by the NFL due to substances. However, and this was alleged potentially, it was Adderall he was struggling with to deal with his ADHD at the time. So it wasn't smoking necessarily ganja. He alleges it was Adderall to fight ADHD.
Wow.
But 5 starts in a 7-year career, there is not a good enough player on the planet that you could rank this as anything other than a bust on my side.
Total bust. Absolutely. You've said it perfectly. Yeah. They actually traded up to this spot.
They did.
And everybody assumed they were going to get Lane Johnson, which we'll talk about next.
Is the next one that many of you probably still know.
Yeah.
So that nothing need more be said.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Jordan. Bust.
Not good.
Philadelphia, 4th overall pick in the 2013 draft, select Lane Johnson, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Demon? Question mark?
Oh,
maybe.
Fabulous.
Definitely. I mean, just a legend of a player, still playing to this day.
Yep.
Phenomenal offensive lineman.
Totally A+.
Again, nothing more need to be said. It's terrifying how close the Dolphins were to having him.
Yeah.
And then you miss. You miss occasionally.
And it's interesting. So this was Chip Kelly's first draft as the head coach of the Eagles.
Oh.
And he was a terrible coach. But his first pick was a great one.
You got to give some credit unless that was ownership that picked him. Whoever knows.
Sure.
That'd be fun to look back into, but yikes. I mean, what a pick.
How about that?
5th overall.
Yes.
Detroit selects Ezekiel Ansah?
Ansah?
Yeah. Solid defensive player, caused 10 fumbles and numerous sacks between 2013 and 2017. And then from 17 to 20, he bounced around teams dealing with injury, not seeing nearly as much playing time. For the Lions, specifically, I don't think it was a terrible pick. I don't know if I'd give him an overall bust. I don't know if he was a hit. The Lions during this time were still trying to come out of that Detroit Lions spot they were in, where they were struggling, I believe, just overall as a team. Yeah. So I would imagine he could have been better in a different life, but in this one, it lasted 4 years with the Lions before kind of tapering out.
Yeah. I mean, so A- grade on the redraft. 14.5 sacks in 2015, 12 sacks 2 years later. So, yeah, solid A.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to, and I'd say that was a solid player.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's the middle of the road.
Yep.
He probably won't have his banner hung in the Lions Hall of Fame, but there was definitely way worse picks Detroit had leading up to him. 6th overall pick, the struggling Cleveland Browns selected Barkevius Mingo, defensive end. Now, may I say before we get into Barkevius, what a hell of a name to get drafted by the Dog Pound.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't spell it without bark.
Yeah.
For that reason, and there's going to be other reasons, I love the pick. Now, however, solid career. He played with 6 teams in 8 years. Never stood out as a player, but he was there. He played. Based on all the research I did, it seemed like the coaching changes going on at Cleveland at the time and multiple other factors, the Cleveland Browns' organization just kind of swallowed him as a player and spit him out, and he was never quite the stud he was in college.
Yeah, C- grade for the pick originally. C- on the 5-year grade, the redraft grade.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
okay.
Maybe not the first round pick you hope for, Cleveland, as we all know looking back.
Yeah, back at this point too, they were in the process of trying to find a quarterback still.
Yep.
And you got to kind of wonder there. It says here Michael Lombardi, and you've seen him maybe on NFL Network.
Pat McAfee show.
But it says here Michael Lombardi has a dubious draft history, and it doesn't seem like he's off to a good start here. So I don't know if this is his first draft with the Browns or not, but interesting pick.
Yeah, unfortunate. Moving on. So that was probably almost bust, maybe considered a bust for a first round without being too harsh. 7th overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft. Arizona Cardinals select Jonathan Cooper, offensive guard, offensive lineman. I'm still not quite sure. Best way to say that. He played 1 season with the Cardinals before traded to the Patriots for Chris Jones. Cardinals got Chris Jones with the trade with this guy, and injuries dismantled his career, and he was done after 5 years.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
It's so unfortunate.
And at the time, I remember him coming out and thinking, wow, I hope the Cowboys draft him.
What a demon.
D grade.
Yeah, it sucks, and it's funny going back and looking through these stats. It brings to light how many players in the NFL It's hard to make it into college.
Mm-hmm.
It's even harder to make it in the NFL.
Yep.
And then it's twice as hard to be considered a decent player in the NFL.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad saying some of this stuff right now about him because that adversity is insane.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out.
No, it's totally true.
8th overall pick. St. Louis Rams selected Tavon Austin, a wide receiver from West Virginia. He has the most iconic college recruitment video, I think, of all time. You may not remember it.
No.
But I can't remember the song, but it's absolutely iconic. I'll put the name up.
Really?
But anybody my age knows what I'm talking about. Consistent player, played on 5 different teams between 2013 and 2021. He was a great punt returner, but not a really consistent wide receiver on any of these teams. Kind of a bust from what I think was hyped up at the time about him, but that's just how it goes. He was good at returning.
Yeah.
But there was a better returner later in this draft, so
yeah.
I'd almost consider it a bust.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got to, it was a B grade then. Later, regrade, C-. So for an 8th overall pick, not real good.
Not what you want.
No.
Those consistent numbers, it's not what you want to hear.
He definitely had speed. I get why they were interested in him. Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense. 9th overall pick, the Jets selected D. Miller, cornerback. Great end to his rookie season. He played 21 out of 41 games in 3 seasons and got dropped, and that was it.
That was it. Just nothing.
3 seasons, he had a solid rookie season.
Oh, my gosh.
Very unfortunate. I don't know what to do about that. 9th overall pick in the NFL draft. I can't imagine anything but consider it a bust. That's got to be a heartbreaker.
So the Jets essentially traded Darrelle Revis, remember him?
Oh my God.
For D. Milner. So so they got rid of him and then drafted this guy.
Oh my
so
God.
Didn't exactly work out.
And this was again during the time where the Jets, I think, were just come off of kind of a good playoff run.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm off a couple years. Maybe that was later.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez was right in there somewhere.
Somewhere, right? I think.
So,
but
the Jets were getting to where they are now.
Yeah.
Essentially. 10th overall pick in the 2013 draft, Tennessee Titans selected Chance Warmack. Hell of a name. Offensive lineman. Started every game for the Titans in the first 3 seasons with a positive rating, even though the Titans were was the worst team for those 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
He signed with the Eagles for 2, won the Super Bowl in the 2017 season, and then he finished with the Seahawks during COVID, and once COVID hit, he was dropped, and that was kind of it. I think the COVID protocol you'll see for a lot of these guys was at the end of their career, so it flushed a lot of them out.
Yeah.
Essentially, because a lot of these guys stopped right when COVID hit.
Yeah, and a redraft grade of D. The front office in this case needed to do something to help Jake Locker and Chris Johnson, running back, in order to keep their jobs. And so Warmack is the best offensive talent on the board. So anyway,
it was
not good.
No, they were trying to just save themselves at this point, and it sounds like it might have been too late. But in all honesty, it sounded like, based on the stuff I read, he wasn't that bad. When you only have your 10th overall pick for 3 seasons, it's not really a great draft then.
Yeah.
It says all it needs to say.
And I think this is probably the worst top 10
oh my God.
in NFL draft history.
It almost felt like somehow we went into a paradox where the draft was backwards.
Yeah.
Where nothing good could come from the beginning, and all of it was in the red.
It's like we started with Mr. Irrelevant and started working back up from the bottom or something.
I can't tell you guys
it's so weird
how funny it is that this is where we left off and this is where we pick up.
This is a smoking pile of cow dung.
There are a lot of fun facts throughout these guys.
True.
So I try to compile all of them, and we'll see towards the end it gets a little better. But you're right; it might be one of the worst 10 NFL drafts in the last 30 years.
That's what we're talking about, and it's just like, ooh.
Why would you do that? You gave him how much?
Yeah. And now,
San Diego.
The San Diego.
Yes. I should have worn my San Diego. I didn't even think about it. Chargers, 11th overall pick in the 2013 draft, selected DJ Fluker. Consistent player, but, nothing really stood out on the stat line except for how many games he played in a row and for how many games he started versus he played in. Really good, really consistent. Not much else to say about it.
Yeah. And he did have some good, he had some good seasons there, right?
Right.
And again, you can understand why the Chargers went this way because at least he had position flex, right?
Exactly.
So he could play tackle or guard. But the redraft grade on him is a C.
It's
so
right down the middle. He played a long time, which is great. Most of it for the Chargers. Not all of it, though. 12th overall pick, Oakland Raiders selected DJ Hayden, cornerback. He played in the league from 2013 to 2021. Put up solid numbers. Lots of passes deflected, so a bit of a ball hawk maybe. My rating on him was a solid player. Nothing too wild, but definitely not the worst corner drafted.
Yeah, C- grade on the redraft, but he apparently had big injury risk to him coming in. So it's kind of interesting that they risk a 12th overall pick on somebody that way. Yeah,
could gamble on it.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly how the Jets got this pick, but 13th overall pick, the Jets. Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle. Long career with a couple issues from 2013 to 2021. Great player. Put up great numbers as a defensive tackle. I don't have him listed necessarily. Be here all day. But he played with the Jets, then went to Seattle, to Minnesota, to Cleveland, back to Minnesota. So I would imagine the first 5 to 6 years he was with the Jets, and the last 4 to 5 finished up that way between those 4 teams.
Yeah.
Or 3 teams, sorry. But solid player. I think he had one suspension for weed, but other than that, he did his job.
Yeah, and I think Rex Ryan was the head coach at the time.
Okay.
So he liked playing the 4-3 and the 3-4. So again, Sheldon Richardson kind of fit in either way. Call it one technique or a 3 technique, and he could do about anything.
Oh, there you go. So, makes sense. 14th overall pick, Carolina Panthers took Star Lutulele, defensive tackle. Played from 2013 to 2020. Almost never missed a game and was a clutch player for the Panthers and Bills. Because of the Sean McDermott connection going from Carolina to the Bills, he ended his career with the Bills right when COVID happened.
Oh, gotcha.
So COVID, again, kind of see it killing a career early, or maybe more people came to their senses they need to be with their family.
Yeah.
What have you, the reasoning, but COVID was the reason he kind of ended his career early.
Okay. Yeah, a C grade on the redraft, so kind of right where we've been on most of these.
Yeah, what I read is during, I think, the Super Bowl run that Carolina went on, He had a couple clutch plays in the playoffs leading up to that Super Bowl. And then in the Bills, one of their runs, he also had a couple clutch plays during that time. But during the regular season, not a very crazy player.
Interesting.
15th overall pick, New Orleans, Kenny Vaccaro.
Yeah,
Is that how you say a double C in Italian, maybe? Safety. Started 109 out of 110 games. Consistent player from 2013 to 2020. He only played with New Orleans and then Tennessee. Never was ranked an amazing, but he wasn't ranked bad during his tenure as a safety in the NFL.
Yeah.
Fun fact. He retired and started an esports team called Gamers First.
Oh.
And then the esports team hasn't posted since 2023 because they're in a lawsuit for not paying one of their gaming teams, and they claim they're out $150,000
Really?
in payments on him.
Oh, shit.
So there's an active lawsuit going on against him and the organization, if you will.
Holy crap.
So that's what he's got his hands full with these days.
So he's a B+ here. He would have been an A, but he had injury issues. At the time, this was a great pick by the Saints. At the time, they had major issues at safety, and he was one of the top players available. And so with Matt Ryan and Cam Newton at that time in the division, New Orleans had to really upgrade their secondary to keep up, and they did.
Yeah,
so
makes sense. 16th overall pick, Buffalo took E.J. Manuel, quarterback. He got hurt for the 5 games of rookie season, putting up decent numbers, given he was hurt for 5 of those games. He got benched after J.J. Watt housed an 80-yard interception in 2014, and had a couple moments where he was a backup quarterback that started, but never became the face of an organization.
You know, and I gotta say, when he came out,
Orton, I think, benched him.
I told people that he was going to be a stud.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He was going to be a stud. And so, at the time, Geno Smith was available at the draft. I think this is the Geno Smith draft. And so they passed over, Geno to get E.J. Manuel.
Oh.
Big mistake. So, not very good.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Poor Busty McBuster. 17th overall, Pittsburgh Steelers selected Jarvis Jones, linebacker. Played 4 seasons with the Steelers. Fans and the media labeled him as a bust due to underperforming for a first-round pick. Steelers declined a 5th-year option in 2016, and that was the end of his career shortly after.
That one's an F.
It's unfortunate. I think I saw he might have had some injury stuff, but just never really won any battles on the team.
Yeah.
And once Pittsburgh media starts talking about you in a negative light, that's hard to come back from.
Not good.
Not good for you, not good for them.
Yeah. Now we're kind of hitting a nice stretch of the draft.
Now we hit the better stretch, people, if you made it this far through the video.
Hang in there.
18th overall pick, the 49ers selected Eric Reed, safety. Long career, 2013-2019, started 98 out of 99 games. Great stats, pretty good safety. I think he might have bounced around a couple other teams, but he did his job, and as a safety, that's half the battle because you're constantly just trying not to get burned.
Yep. And the 49ers traded up to get him. They were sitting at 31 at the time. And so, turns out with a B+ redraft grade, so not a bad move.
No, probably at the time, because I would have just gotten rid of Alex Smith. Was that right before Kaepernick started then?
Probably so.
Came into the league and did that.
Might have been about the same time.
Because it would have been a Jim Harbaugh move, too.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's right.
Kind of crazy. They would have probably have just won or came second place in the Super Bowl to the Ravens.
Yeah.
So kind of funny to think about.
That makes sense.
Eric Reed right after that, after being burned by Flacco.
Wow. And interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I've got memories out of my ass.
That's good.
Not often, but once in a while. 19th overall, the New York Giants select Justin Pugh, offensive lineman. Okay, so Pugh, the do. Rookie season started out rough, but he made a great improvement by the end of it. 2014-2017, he was regarded as one of the best O-linemen. And then injuries from 17 to 23 derailed his career. He made his final start on the October 15th for the Bills. And that was pretty much the end of his career there. He did play on a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire celebrity appearance.
No kidding.
And he won $10,000 for the Shriners Hospital for Children.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How about that? And he did that in 2015, so it was kind of amongst his run of being considered a great lineman.
Sure.
Before injury kind of took him away.
Yeah. A- grade on the redraft. Would have been an A if he didn't have the injury issues, but
Yep.
I mean, I know he played a long time and was pretty good.
Yeah, it's
against the Cowboys.
Again, linemen you got to get them.
Right.
Now, this one's I didn't realize who this was until I started deep diving in a bit more. 20th overall pick, the Chicago Bears took Kyle Long, offensive lineman, guard, well-known, pretty good guard. 2016 and 2020 and 21 sustained injuries that caused him to retire early. I believe he had back injuries that were kind of his reasoning. Son of Howie Long, brother of Chris Long, and then he became a part owner of another esports team in the eNASCAR Coke iRacing series.
Really?
So it was more like the European, or not European, but just the esports teams that race like F1 cars and box cars, kind of what one of our coworkers does.
Okay, cool.
So, online, so that sort of thing. But he wasn't in the league for nearly as long as I thought he was.
Yeah. A- grade on the redraft, but seems like they reached just a little bit for a lineman here. A lot of linemen here in this top 20 picks.
It's crazy.
Especially when you have what the players coming next we're going to talk about, Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
And you still had some good defenders like Desmond Trufant, who ended up being a real good corner for the Seahawks, I believe.
Yep.
So, little reach there.
Yeah, a little reach. It worked out. Probably wasn't on the team as long as he'd like to, but again, offensive linemen are prone to just getting hurt all the time.
Yeah.
It's just how that position is. Now, 21 overall of the 2013 draft, Cincinnati Bengals selected Tyler Eifert. Pretty good tight end for them. His best year by numbers was his third year in 2015. Fun fact for you, his brother-in-law is Zach Martin, where they were roommates together at Notre Dame.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I believe Zach married his sister.
Ah.
So, crazy how that works.
All in the family, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, any other fact on him?
Not really. Based off the stats, and I can't remember, Cincinnati fans, I apologize. Based on the stats, it looked like he had maybe 2 to 3 good years with the Bengals, and then the rest of his stats maybe weren't as good. That he would have been there for the rise and fall of Andy Dalton, and I want to say he might have been there for part of Burrow.
Okay.
But it might have only been his rookie season where Burrow was hurt, so I'm not really sure
I think
how
it was.
all of that lined up necessarily.
And it's interesting because this is, you always hear the argument of best player available versus need, right?
Right.
And so this is a case where the Bengals had Jermaine Grisham at the time, so they didn't have a hole at tight end, but they still went with best player available. And like you say, it seems like Andy Dalton having limited arm strength might have played into giving him another big weapon underneath.
Because this is right in the time that the Bengals were winning that division.
Yeah.
They were, well, aside from the previous year, maybe this was they did it with Tyler Eifert, but for a while there, the Bengals were making the playoffs every year and always losing in the first round.
Yeah.
And so he was there for, I think, the entirety of that stint, which is unfortunate, but how the career shakes out. Do you have anything else for him?
B- redraft grade.
Okay. So considered not terrible.
No.
I'll take that. 22nd overall pick, Atlanta took Desmond Trufant, cornerback.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Falcons, not Seahawks.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought that.
Well, both birds.
Yeah, maybe that's
birds.
it.
There you go. His rookie season, he was ranked 8th best cornerback by Pro Football Focus. 2016, he was a Pro Bowler. 2017, still considered a top 30 ranked quarterback. Just an absolute dog on the Falcons, and then his career slowly kind of diminished until 2021 when he called it quits. For a cornerback, that's not bad.
No, not at all.
As you age and the wide receivers stay the same age, I could imagine that job gets a bit difficult.
So it says here he was an A on the redraft.
I'd say.
He was missed during Atlanta's Super Bowl run in 2016, and had he been on the field, perhaps the Falcons wouldn't have blown that 28-3 lead. Outside of that season, Trufant has missed just one game in his career. It was the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's horrifying. Looking back on it, that's horrifying.
Isn't that terrible?
Oh, my God. Wow. I hope that doesn't keep him up at night.
Yeah.
If he was already out for that game, what can you do? 23rd overall pick, Minnesota selected Sheriff Floyd, defensive tackle. He had a great first 2 seasons. 2016 season ended when he got a knee injury.
Yeah.
They did surgery on it and never played again because the surgery caused nerve damage. He is now in a $180 million lawsuit against the doctor for performing an unpermitted knee surgery. Based on recent articles, I don't believe it's been settled yet, and it's still ongoing.
Interesting.
I mean, unfortunate that it sounds like he could have been a dog, but only playing 2 seasons as the 23rd overall pick. not good.
Yeah. It should have easily been picked higher.
Yeah.
Based on his collegiate performance. So.
It definitely seems like it.
Yeah.
You got anything else for this one?
No, that's B- on the redraft.
Okay, so
it was an A+ initially.
That's unfortunate. 24th overall pick. The Colts select Bjorn Werner, defensive end. He played most of the games in his rookie season. Didn't do much in the 2014 season. He was inactive versus the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. He appeared in 10 of the 16 games in 15, waived in 16. Signed to the Jacksonville, but didn't make it to the season, so that's kind of where his NFL run stopped. But he is the co-owner of the Berlin Thunder in the European League of Football.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
And he helps recruit European players to the NFL. And he's a common commentator to find in Germany for NFL games that are being broadcast over there.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
He's the co-host of the podcast Football Bromance. So shout out Football Bromance. He sounds like he's doing a lot, very good person to have around the NFL. Sounds like his career maybe not the best one we've ever seen.
So he was seen as a 4-3 left end, but the Colts drafted him into an entirely different situation and position.
That explains it.
And the scheme fit, just didn't fit for him, and so
just slowly dwindled out quickly.
Yeah, yep, it just didn't work.
That's a shame.
Yep.
It sounds like he could have been a fun guy, especially with the name Bjorn.
It's interesting when teams try to draft somebody that isn't what they've been for a position of not what they played. It's like, it seems awful risky, right?
Yeah, especially when you're then surprised when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, for sure.
Minnesota, 25th overall pick, selected Xavier Rhodes, cornerback. Just an absolute beast for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Legend. Started almost every game of his career. Rookie season, he only started 6 of the 13, but the rest of his career, I think he only missed like one additional game maybe, or didn't start one of the games he played in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, absolute demon out there on the field. Nothing more really needs to be said on my part from him.
Interesting that the Vikings have 23 and 25 in this draft, too.
Had I think at least 3 picks.
Wow.
In the first round.
That's crazy.
So I think they have another one.
Oh, you're right.
So they had 3 picks in this draft.
Wow. This one was definitely the best of the 3.
Yes.
A+ on the redraft grade.
Oh, yeah.
So
Xavier Rhodes. He was in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yep.
26th overall pick, Green Bay selected Dayton Jones?
Dayton Jones?
Defensive end. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Good first 2 seasons. He did get suspended for a weed in 2015, but played the rest of the season. Fifth-year option wasn't picked up, but he went to the Vikings, Lions, 49ers, and Cowboys. Got injured on the Vikings and Lions, so it seems like after his first 2 seasons, kind of dwindled out, maybe not having the same success he did, but he did have 3 good years with the Green Bay.
Yeah.
Probably not the best player ever to be picked 26, but that's kind of how this draft has been.
Yeah, that's so true. C- on the redraft grade, not a whole lot to add there.
Okay. 27th overall pick. Houston Texans select DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow.
Wide receiver. Certified dog. 3-time first-team All-Pro. 5-time Pro Bowler. You know the rest. Now on the Ravens.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to wonder what happens to the Texans if Deshaun Watson doesn't do what he does. J.J. Watt stays a little bit longer and DeAndre Hopkins never leaves.
Yeah.
But those questions don't need to be answered because they won't happen.
They had it all there, didn't they?
They really did. Yeah, I mean, the redraft, I'm sure, is an A+.
Yeah, absolutely A+ grade on it, the redraft.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
28th overall, Denver Broncos selected Sylvester Williams, defensive tackle. He was part of the Broncos Super Bowl run in 2015. Great player. Bounced around the league after 2016 until 2020 where he called it quits. He got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a win.
Yep.
I don't think he was a great player. I don't know if he was that bad of a player. He was playing with DeMarcus Ware and maybe a couple others on that Broncos Super Bowl run. Von Miller back then. So I would imagine he got some great experience, but he never seemed to use it.
No, a D on the redraft grade. So he was an A initially.
Hey, you know what? It can't all be great. Now, 29th overall, Minnesota would go on to select a man that no one would ever know would have as long of his career as he had.
Which is crazy.
Cordell Patterson.
Whoa.
The goddamn Black Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, drafted as a wide receiver, I believe.
Yeah.
And then became one of the best kick returners of all time.
Yep.
Arguably. Has the longest kick return of all time at 109 yards. I don't know if that's a tied record or an official record.
Interesting.
But I don't know how you get to 110 without stepping out of bounds from the start. And, I mean, was a running back on the Falcons for a bit, running back on the Steelers, wide receiver at all of these places, and also a kick returner.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Cordell Patterson is an anomaly, but a great player.
Yeah.
Well, has been. I don't know as of late if the Steelers would consider him that.
I think I'd almost say, a C grade on the redraft. Maybe he got to be a C+ player, or maybe
B minus.
Yeah, because he could do a lot of stuff, right?
He did a lot for the Vikings.
I think he got better, which is strange.
He did. The Falcons, I think, were the first one to use him more all around.
Yeah.
The Vikings, I think, did, but they didn't have to at the time, even though he was a phenomenal kick returner with them. I would say at least a B minus.
I'd buy that.
Completely honest, I think there's an argument there. Now, a lot of people also hate him. I could see a C minus too.
Yeah.
30th overall pick, St. Louis Rams selected Alec Ogletree, linebacker for the Rams. Or, yeah, I said that. You get the point. Started 110 out of 111 games. Defensive beast with the Rams. Had great stats. He put up numbers, tackles, assists, fumbles. At 30, based on what we've seen, I'd say this was a hit.
Yep. So the only knock on him was he was a really solid player. A grade on the initial draft, B grade on the redraft.
Okay.
And basically, he's been good but not great. That's why they knock him down a little bit.
I can see that.
And he got a huge contract, but solid linebacker for a decade.
Yeah.
Or half decade.
Right.
But got a big contract and probably was a little overpaid.
Yeah, there's probably something to be said there.
So,
and now, you might have some more to say about this one.
Yeah, so
31st overall pick, Dallas Cowboys select Travis Frederick, center.
Great pick. It really was. And at the time,
I completely agree.
We were not overly excited about it.
Right.
But there was a thing about a fifth-year option that if you had a pick in the bottom of the draft, and I think the Cowboys traded back, if I remember right.
I think you're right. Because there was some sort of controversy over that.
Yeah. But he turned out to be a hell of a center until he retired kind of prematurely.
I believe he was another injury.
Yeah,
potentially.
It was some kind of disease. I can't remember what.
It wasn't Luke Gehrig's, but it was one of the named after someone else.
Yeah. But ultimately it turned out really well, and I thought it was a great pick.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah, by 2015, which would have been his third season, he was already calling out the coverages because in that season he had to play with 4 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He double majored in computer engineering and computer science and co-founded Demiplane, a digital platform for various tabletop role-playing games.
Yeah.
That was sold later on.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a fun fact.
That's interesting.
Dude's a brainiac.
Yeah, no doubt.
Getting his head bashed in all the time. It's kind of funny how that works. 32nd overall pick. Baltimore selected Matt Elam.
Yeah,
Elam. Safety. Good rookie season. Struggled with his second season, and he lost a lot of playing time. He missed the entire third season after getting hurt. He was considered a bust, being a first-round pick with not really amazing results at all, and then got arrested and released by the Ravens. He then went on to play in the CFL, then the XFL, the Indoor Football League, a new indoor football team, another CFL team, another indoor football team, an XFL team, and now is on an Arena Football League team, the Massachusetts Pirates.
Yeah.
So his career is still going.
That's incredible.
It's just on a pro arena football team, which I don't know how he's doing that because arena football is even more crazy than NFL.
Sure.
But hell,
pretty wild, huh?
What a first round! God, that stunk.
So we've got here the grades for like my team, and again, like we kind of saw, there's a lot of these are overall, not just the first round.
Yeah.
But lots of C's. Lots of C's.
It's funny. It really is. And some honorable mentions.
Yep.
If I may.
Please do.
We won't keep you guys much longer. But, we are doing a 2013 draft coverage, so we got to do it. Some other notable selections. The Eagles got Zach Ertz. The Lions got Darius Slay. Jets got Geno Smith. Steelers got Le'Veon Bell in this draft. Packers Eddie Lacy. Chiefs got Travis Kelce in this draft. In the third round, which is crazy. Cardinals got Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger.
Huh.
Chargers got Keenan Allen.
That's a good pick.
Round 4, the Packers got David Bakhtiari.
Oh, yeah.
Big turf versus grass guy, but great lineman. Packers got Micah Hyde. Eagles got Jordan Poyer.
Wow.
And that's about all. Raiders got Latavius Murray.
Wow.
But some absolute crazy late draft picks in this draft.
Yeah.
First round, definitely for whatever reason. I don't know who built it up at the time to be this way, but it was a lot of in the trenches guys.
It really was.
There was very little skill position players drafted that early. And like Tavon Austin was kind of a bust.
Right.
So the people that did really didn't gain anything.
No.
You might as well have just stocked up on one of the other C-graded guys.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute shame. But
yeah, in the Saints get an A on this one. Looking back, they got Kenny Vaccaro.
Yep.
But they also got Teron Armstead.
Oh wow.
At 75, and let's see, I mean, great stud left tackle.
Yep.
So and Drew Brees at the time was there.
Got to protect that arm.
Yep. So and Kenny Stills was drafted in that draft as well. So two great offensive pieces there. And they didn't have much available because they were limited because of the Spygate penalty.
Yep.
So they did pretty well for not having a lot of picks.
Yeah, it's funny. They didn't have many, but they made it work.
They did.
I can't remember. Was that before or after Bounty Gate?
I was trying to think of that too.
Because I think Spy was before.
Probably was.
And then Bounty was a little bit after, because I remember Drew Brees and Sean Payton both being suspended like 5 games because of that.
Oh,
to
yeah.
try and
That's right.
penalize them.
And again, amazing. You said it, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu for the Cardinals.
Chargers got Keenan Allen. He's still active.
What a great pick. Keenan Allen, what a great pick. That's really incredible when you look back at these.
Travis Kelce still playing, well, maybe not after the Super Bowl, at the Super Bowl level, but he's still a damn good player.
Yeah.
I have my bias. But just funny how all that works out. It just goes to show, as we're going up to the 2025 NFL draft, some drafts just, players don't stick.
Yeah.
And they will bounce around and they will be overpaid, especially these days. And, you never know who's going to be the next best positional player.
Yeah, exactly right.
I mean, I don't think anybody in Dallas was thrilled about the center being picked first round.
Not in the least.
But, he was probably one of the best centers in the league for 4 years.
Yeah.
Or whenever he retired, maybe it was more like 3.
Might have been a few more than that.
Okay.
But yeah, great. I mean, with Romo there at the time, and I mean,
Lord
you
knows.
knew it was in good hands, and he knew what he was doing. Those guys were great.
Especially calling coverages by his 3rd season. That feels kind of crazy.
Yep.
Almost like a veteran at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's going to do it for us this week.
Well, and one last comment about our number 74 episode, right?
Yes.
So, in terms of the Cowboys, I like to go over my favorite number, if there is one.
Yeah.
And so last week we had 73 on Larry Allen, who's a great Hall of Famer. And for the Cowboys, 74 represents the Cowboys' first draft pick ever in 1960. And it was Bob Lilly, defensive tackle, who was just an absolute stud Hall of Famer. And I did meet him in Canton.
Oh, my God.
I got a picture with him. Great guy, very nice, older gentleman.
Yep.
And he's still alive to this day.
Wow.
But Bob Lilly at 74, huge cornerstone piece to the Cowboys. And, pretty crazy.
Damn, that is wild. I think covered the episode number. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
mock
draft next week.
We'll do a mock draft next week and the following week.
Yeah.
Because that'll come out the day of the draft.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we'll mock draft both of them.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we might do. We'll hit our we'll do mock draft for the first round for all teams, and then we might hit a couple more in depth for the Chargers and the Cowboys.
Yeah, maybe.
In there too. How about that?
Yeah, we could do one. We can make the one that comes out the day of the draft, your final mock draft.
Yep.
And then next week we do a Chargers Cowboys mock draft.
Yeah, and just kind of talk about what each
we
team
like.
needs and what we think they're going to do.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Hey, look, a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. Appreciate everyone that subscribed in the last couple of weeks. We appreciate the support. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you all next week on the Coy Pond. Peace.